Hello, beautiful people. I am live again. I can't believe it, twice in one day. Like, who am I? I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited about the chat I will have tonight with Alexis. We are going to talk about lucid dreaming. We're going to revisit what I mentioned in the reel the other day, which actually I guess that was yesterday, where I mentioned there is a big myth about lucid dreaming. So I want to revisit that. We're also going to just talk about what lucid dream is and briefly chat about the book we're both reading on lucid dreams and just kind of letting the conversation organically flow. And so we would love to have you all share and comment just anything, your questions, your experiences. We're always curious if you are having lucid dreams, if you're seeking some guidance with that, or just anything coming up in the realm of lucid dream. We would love to hear what you have to share. And so I'm going to invite Alexis on right now. I see some of my peeps already. Welcome in. Awesome. So I'm really excited to chat tonight. I'm curious how you all have, how your dreams have been. Hello.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Right. So I'm just giving everyone heads up of like what we're going to talk about tonight, and we're going to talk about lucid dreams. I want to start the conversation with what I presented in the reel as far as like myth about lucid dreaming. And I'm being a bit dramatic, but I will say I was like, it really got me thinking because whenever I consider lucid dreaming, whenever I had my own lucid dreams, I did feel in control of the dream space. And in those experiences, what I desired did manifest. And it wasn't until I started listening to the lucid dreaming book that you and I both are listening to. So Alexa and I are listening to Lucid Dreaming Gateway to the Inner Self right now in preparation for our dream circle. And the author mentioned that as as a way to kind of rebuttal what scientists were saying, in the sense of, well, you don't have control over your dreams, or no one has full control in that way. And just kind of arguing, the scientists were arguing just the concept of control, right? And having that kind of power in the dream space. And the author mentioned that, yeah, like in actuality, we're not necessarily in control of the dream space. Like we might make directives, we might make requests, but we don't, like, say for me, for instance, I would always want to go to the beach. So I was like really big into changing the scene, and I wasn't the one who created what the beach looked like, right? And so it wasn't until he mentioned this in the dream or in the audiobook. And once I heard that and start to really ponder that, when I had a lucid dream, like a fully, like full on lucid dream, I made a request. And like the whole time I spent like the lucid dream trying to achieve what my request was, and I did not receive that. And it wasn't until I surrendered to whatever the dream guide is, whoever the creator is, when I surrendered to that, say, higher power or something maybe external from myself, then it opened up, right? And so it really was an interesting moment of just that contemplation of, okay, I'm not in control of the dream. Even when I'm lucid dreaming, like just because I make a request or have an intention doesn't mean it's going to come to fruition. And so what are your thoughts, Alexis, in your experience with this?
So I found that part of the book extremely validating because, I mean, you know me. I've talked about how I lucid dream and how for me it's a little different. I'm not trying to suggest or change too much in my dreams because I have for a very long time now really gone with the concept that what my brain is trying to tell me is important, and though I allow myself to make small decisions and I stay aware and grounded while it's happening, I don't like I purposely don't change the route of the dream. I'm
So
full.
you like when you first started, I know you've been lucid dreaming since you were 3. When you was there ever a period in which you did like say, I want to fly or I want to be at this place or I want to, did you ever play along with that type of experience?
I played along with it a little bit when I was like younger, and I used it as more of an escape. So like I spent a lot of my teenhood leaning into trying to escape my reality. So I would dream and dream things that in that period of time were more connected to myself.
Yeah.
But into my late teenhood and adulthood, I really stopped putting so much effort into that because I felt as though it distracted me from what I really was searching for, what I was really looking for. Like lucid dreaming, you're completely conscious. Like you have complete conscious awareness that you're dreaming while you're in the dream. And that's what I do every single night. And I've explained this before, but it's almost like that moment in your early childhood where you kind of just gain consciousness and you're like, holy shit, I'm human. This is what happens to me every night. And I just kind of am like, all right, I know I'm dreaming. Let me pay attention. Let me look at what's around me. Let me ask questions. Let me, adventure out further into what has already been created. So I have the control of myself, and I have the control of me choosing to go along the way that I want to go. So it's a really interesting experience for
Yeah.
sure.
So just to catch everyone up, because I know there's a few people that just joined. So Alyssa and I are talking about, of course, lucid dreams. And I wanted to touch on the topic of like having control of your dreams, having control of like what happens in your dream. And when you are learning about lucid dreaming, when you have the desire to lucid dream, that is what is most fascinating to have a lucid dream because you can do essentially whatever you want. And as I mentioned, Alexis and I are both listening to an audiobook called Lucid Dreaming Gateway to the Inner Self. And it is by Robert Wagner. And he mentioned how, in actuality, we don't have control over the dream, right? Just because we make a request in a lucid dream when we're lucid doesn't mean that it's going to come to fruition. And I feel that once you begin to have more lucid dreams and really put strong intention into it, you will have that experience where you want to do something, you want to change something, or you want to bring someone in, so to speak, and it doesn't happen. And so it's really interesting how how that experience transforms. And I was telling Alexis before we hopped on was that it's interesting because it kind of feels like the reality that we're in, right? And there was something I came across in just preparing for this live that we don't necessarily have control over the dream space and the direction of the dream, but I do feel that while lucid in a dream, right, while in a lucid dream, we do have possibly full control of ourselves in the dream, right? So we can decide what actions we want to take, who we want to talk to, like anything pertaining to us, specifically, we can do that. And so, those of you that have had lucid dreams, would you agree with that at all? Um, and what I feel is that it's kind of interesting because it's kind of reflective of our waking life in a way, where it's like we can make decisions about ourselves. We have quote unquote full control of ourselves to an extent,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not in control of how things show up in our environment, how people respond to us. I know in this audiobook he mentioned that he saw some people, like he was in a lucid dream, he saw a woman, like he had the opportunity to talk to a woman and talk to a man. He talked to the woman, he expected her to have a specific response or to even engage with him, and she was very dismissive to him. And so that kind of broke his expectation, right? And if I have control over the dream, and if what I intend I expect to come to fruition, like he expected that lady to respond to him in his dream because it's my dream, I'm the one in control, right? Well, she didn't, and he followed her, and she still was like, don't talk, like basically don't talk to me. So it's kind of interesting how the lucid dream in that experience of having control of ourselves, but not anything external, is a reflection of our waking reality.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to acknowledge too that when it comes to being in control of yourself, this includes your emotional state. So, being calm during really intense moments, or exciting moments, because once you start to lean into that heavy emotion, you'll get cut off from your dream and it won't be a lucid dream anymore. So that's something that, is really important. And also the senses. So in your dreams, you're able to sense like you can in real life, so, or in the waking realm. So you can feel things, you can smell things, you can hear things, there, you have that ability, but you also have the ability to turn it off. So,
Yeah, that's a good point.
and like I had last night where, it had been a dream where I was burning. I felt it and then I turned it off. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes, and it is very interesting, and it also is interesting how you can turn it on more intensely too. So like where you are in the space, like what room you're in. You might be looking around and kind of hyper focus your vision on things and to have more clarity of what you're looking at, or smell. You can smell more intensely to kind of like really understand your environment. It's so interesting. It's so wonderful. And like I said, it's having that control is really important, and it might seem minor, but it is so important for
Yeah,
dreaming.
there's like a delicate, I remember the author was saying there's a delicate balance in between like having, like not getting too like caught up like in the, but also like in the sense of like strong emotions, but also being very present too. Because it's like you don't want to be too present, but then you want to be just present enough. Because if you're too present and you get caught up in the emotions or in, yeah, just like the flow of the dream in that sense, where it is strong emotions that will collapse your lucid dream and you'll wake up.
Absolutely.
Or flip side, if you are just like flowing with the dream in a sense of, not fully present, not consciously aware in that sense, then you slip back into a non-lucid state. So it's interesting if you then take that and reflect that to a waking life experience. It literally is the same, right?
Yeah.
If we get sucked away within our emotions, within our current reality and experience, then that in a way collapses like some element of like our reality, whether who's to say it's a good thing or a bad thing, versus like if we just totally are absent-minded and getting just like, oh my gosh, like swept away by everything, then we're like in this, this non-lucid state, like this non-aware state. So I'm curious of those of you watching, if you have pretty active lucid dreams. I'm just curious of what you've experienced in the lucid dream. Have you had, say, full control over the dream and have seen that just like, take a different direction, or maybe you came out of that? I know in the comments of the reel that I posted that someone mentioned that they got really swept away in the dream, or it was like very emotional or something, like they tried to do something and they would always wake up, right? Or there was someone else who wanted to summon like a certain person in. I want to say it was a celebrity, I'm not quite sure, I can't remember, but they could never summon that person in, or they would just come out of the lucid dream. And I think there is just even that awareness and knowledge of having the power to do whatever you want to do in a lucid dream can also like collapse the lucid dream.
Absolutely.
So
If you like try, almost like it's so, you have to find a balance, because it's almost like if you try too hard, it's not gonna come to fruition. Like if you allow yourself to, because I feel like people, when that doesn't happen, it's usually because they're excited and they want it to
yeah,
happen, and it never happens because they just are like too emotionally wrapped up in it
yeah.
happening that it doesn't
And
happen.
I
But
honestly, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I feel that because I had a lucid dream experience, and I think it was in between our lives last week, but I think because I was so excited to talk to this person, like there's varying levels of it. Like I think that the purpose of the lucid dream was like the message that was coming across in the dream was that wasn't important. And it also indirectly brought me closure, but I really wanted to talk to this person so badly. And I was lucid. I made the intention that I wanted to talk to this person while in the lucid dream, and my request was not fulfilled. Like that person just kind of disappeared. Like I would see like very vague images of their faces, or a person that I thought was him. But when I went to go talk to that person, it wasn't him, right? And so the dream, whoever the dream creator, never satisfied my request. And then I completely surrendered in the lucid dream while still lucid, remembering that, hey, I can ask whoever the dream creator is to just show me what's important right now. And when I asked that, then the dream took a turn, and it was really interesting. And so it just, even the nature of surrendering. So we have some comments here. All right, let me just go back, make sure I didn't miss any comments. All right, so Christopher, shout out to Christopher. It's been a minute since you've been on the live. So Christopher says, I like to say we have autonomous control over ourselves in lucid dreams and also reality. But in the same token, we don't have control of the outcomes of our actions, be it in a dreamscape or reality. Yeah, that's 100%. I didn't really think about that until like recently. I was like, oh my gosh, that like totally makes sense. So Jay says, I have had full control on some dreams, but it's not always. I think some dreams are given or presented to us for some reason, while others we can create. I also believe there are different kinds, interactive or just being a viewer and unable to affect an outcome. Yeah, I definitely feel that.
Yeah, I
I,
don't think I ever really have dreams where I'm just the viewer.
yeah.
I really don't. I have dreams like like the same way kind of every night where, I just am kind of there and I'm aware
Yeah.
of the dream. It makes it really interesting. And going back to like having control over the emotions, like it comparing, I think last week I talked about the dreams I had following and after the solar eclipse, and how that one dream that I had on Saturday prior to, it was a lucid dream, but I was so shaken from it because it kind of hit me out of nowhere that it crumbled so quickly.
Yeah.
Where normally I'm able to maintain my
Yeah.
emotions. And then like you have a dream, I had a dream last night where someone would think that that's a nightmare, but I was completely calm.
Yeah.
It's such a bizarre, it's so weird. It's so interesting. I love it.
Yeah. It's just really interesting how I'm getting swept away by this lucid dream journey, because after a while, we're still listening to the book, right? Where I think
Yeah, I'm on 9, I think.
yeah, I think we're in the same space. But what's been really fascinating is that he presents all of these different ideas for like when you're in a lucid dream, and just also how to maintain like control of like basically your emotions. And it's really interesting that I can already see and experience my conscious mind working with my subconscious mind, because
Yeah.
he decided to do the dream circle together. And when we started talking about lucid dreams, I've been so fascinated with talking to the people in my dreams. And I always have like, well, not always ex-lovers, but there's a certain few, like two in particular that come in my dreams, as well as friends. So I'm like, what are you guys doing here? Like, it's random if I have a dream with someone I don't know. So so curious to talk to my quote unquote friends or ex lovers, whatever. Be like, why are you
That,
here? And
that's
so it was really fun. Yeah, it was really fun to remember that intention, recall that intention while in a dream.
Mhm.
And then, and on top of that, when he mentioned, like, hey, you can also just ask the dream to show you what it is, like what's important at the time. So then I recalled that in the same dream, and I mean, it just blew my mind when I woke up. I just felt so accomplished. And I don't know, I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I remembered. It was awesome. And yeah, there was just so much that came out of those dreams.
I
And
love
yeah, I'll be sharing that lucid dream on our dream live stream on my YouTube channel tomorrow. So if you want to hear about my lucid dream experience, when I literally looked up to the sky and be like, can you show me like what do I need to know right now? Because you're not satisfying my request to talk with this person and then they just disappeared. And so what do I need to know right now? Right. And then the dream took a really interesting turn. So if you want to hear about that, show up on my YouTube channel tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern time and yeah, engage and chat with us there. But yeah, so I'm curious, people that are watching, like what's your experience with lucid dreams or even your thoughts if you haven't had a lucid dream before? I'm really curious to hear. I thought it was interesting. I came across a statistic that said 20% of lucid dreamers experience a lucid dream monthly. And then there's 50% of the population who have never experienced a lucid dream, which I can kind of
Mind blowing to me.
that. But the 20%, like, I don't know, first of all, you and I were talking about these numbers. We're like, where are they getting these numbers?
Yeah.
You know, I've never taken a test. I've never been asked like with any type of poll, but you know, whatever. So I'm curious of the people here. We're going to take our own poll. Have you ever had a lucid dream experience? And if you have, like, how often do you lucid dream?
Ooh.
And what I've learned is that there are different layers or levels of awareness in the dream space too.
Absolutely. And I think what's super, like, I don't know about you, but I have read a variety of different lucid dreaming books. And I've noticed that the ones that are set up like Robert Wagner's work better for me than the ones that are kind of like a step-by-step guide.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get your opinion on that, how you felt.
Yeah, I feel that the step-by-step guide, I don't know, it feels kind of like restrictive in a way because I have had like it's like, okay, here's the method of how you like drop in. I think I learned more from people's experiences, and I think the guidance and the methods just naturally come from that versus like reading a book. Like I tend to like shy away from those type of informative aspects. I'm so curious about people's actual themes and
No,
just what they come across, right? Which is why I'm facilitating the dream circle, which is why I connected with you so strongly and Jace and like yeah, I connect more on that level.
it's interesting because I find that you and I both have been dreaming for a very long time. You know, I've been lucid dreaming since I was 3. And I think those step by step guides really are there to help people who don't lucid dream ever
Yeah.
with the beginning of their recall. Whereas, like, we've been doing it for so long that it's like we already know those parts. So
Yeah.
it to me, it's almost like there are different books designed for different types of experiences, and this one, that the lucid dreaming gateway to the inner self, is just incredible.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's, you know, honestly, the more you talk about it and put yourself in that just state of awareness and like really like having, I feel like the intention and the desire with anything, it's like the desire is what's strong, right? So if you have an intention for your lucid dream and it's like you know, it's not really that, like you don't feel it like fully, it might not manifest.
Yeah.
But say for instance with my example where like I didn't get to talk to this person, but my lucid dream experience is like it's becoming stronger and stronger and stronger, and I think it's because of my like passion and desire for that. All right, so we have some comments here. So Jackie Marie 82 says never had one. Christopher says I've been lucid dreaming since I was a child. Jay says been able to lucid dream since 6 years old. Katie Baby says I've never been able to lucid dream. I've always been nervous about it, resulting in sleep paralysis, assuming it takes similar action to be able to lucid dream. So we both can give different perspectives of that, I feel, on the sleep paralysis and lucid dream. Is there like a connection? Is it like, do you have, if you have one, you're going to have the other? Like, what do you
Well,
think?
I never had sleep paralysis. So that's something that really you're more of like an expert in regards to your experiences. Like I said, I've been lucid dreaming since I was 3. And again, lucid dreaming is when you have conscious awareness of being in a dream while you're dreaming. You're able to make decisions to kind of change different things around it. So you may be lucid dreaming without realizing that you're lucid dreaming, because I think that's something that was difficult for me to realize. But I never thought about sleep paralysis because I never had it. So I can see where that connection would be, but you would definitely know more about that
Yeah.
than I.
Well, I wanted to point you out because you're a perfect example. It's like, okay, the dream without having sleep paralysis. And I have experienced sleep paralysis since I was like 12, 13. And again, I don't really know. Like when I think back to dreams from that, I'm sure I was lucid dreaming, but I was definitely not an active lucid dreamer. Like I wasn't aware of it. Like now in hindsight, I'm thinking about certain experiences and I'm like, oh yeah. But so I wouldn't say they're one and the same, right?
Yeah.
That's my kind of approach to it. But I think it's I feel if you have sleep paralysis, just from my experience, I feel that lucid dreaming, like it's easier for me to slip into sleep paralysis from lucid dream, like having a lucid dream, depending on the intention, the time of day, and such. So when I had a lucid dream recently, like I woke up in the morning, I had the same. So I like woke up, I had a dream, woke up, went back to sleep, had the same dream, or the person was in my dream. It was like a continuation. So the second time when I woke up, I was like, okay, I'm going back to sleep and I'm going to lucid dream. I'm going to talk to this person, whatever. So it was like, at that point, after waking up the second time, I could have woken up because it was in the morning time. And so my body was already kind of like I was in the vibe of like getting up. I wasn't super tired. And so I was able to lucid dream actually really easily. But after the dream, I felt myself slipping into sleep paralysis. More so because I woke myself up from the lucid dream, like I forced the dream to end. And as I was waking up, I was slipping into sleep paralysis, but I was able to avoid that with breathing technique. So it just depends if you have experience. But if you've never had sleep paralysis and you want to try lucid dreaming, I mean, I wouldn't say like, yeah, like you should be fine. But I understand the concern because sleep paralysis is a whole thing.
But you
Um,
don't go into it with too much fear behind things. You don't want to go, I want to lucid dream, but I'm so afraid of getting sleep paralysis. You have to go into it with like, I'm going to lucid dream, and that's not going to
right.
happen to me. It's
Yeah,
kind of like
having positive, very strong intentions, like being grounded and knowing you're ready.
exactly.
Um, and when like not even thinking about, that experience if possible. That's a good point. Okay, so Christopher says, I've been lucid dreaming. Oh, okay, I already read that. All right, so Christopher comments again. I'm pretty sure I started my lucid dreaming to escape from my reality when I was young.
Me.
Yes. Yep. He also says, I've had sleep paralysis since I was young as well. It was always a separate thing from dreaming, not connected. Sleep paralysis happens before you ever start dreaming. Yeah, like you're pretty much like awake. Like it, yeah. Um, Jay says, have you ever had any loops in dreams where you wake up and then wake up? Oh my goodness.
I had this last night.
I had that, but I was gonna ask both of you, you and Jace, because that came up in the audiobook, which is like where I ended, where he had a series of seven, like waking seven times. The seventh time he was like in his real in
Yeah.
his real like waking
Yeah.
life.
Mine
And
was 4
you had
last night. So I'm,
yeah.
yeah.
But see, you are so strong in your dream space where it's I feel like it takes a lot to spook you.
It does.
Like because when you shared your dreams and like your excitement and your feeling and your passion with it, literally you already know me, I feel well enough. If I had I would have been freaking the fuck out. Like
Yeah.
but
It's definitely like I have been having just, I mean, like I said, my first lucid dream, I was like 3 years old, and it was in a dark room with like huge mirrors all over, monsters coming in through the crevices of the mirrors, and me actively choosing, all right, I need to get my aunt to safety now, and like clearing the way of where the
Yeah.
monsters were coming in so I could, like, so from a very young age, my dreams have been more intense and on the like scary side. So I really learned how to maintain that emotional balance pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, we have
Do you
comments.
Hey, we love the comments, you guys. This is great. Alexis, you have Venus. Venus is in Libra too in your 12th house.
Yes.
Okay, cool. No, that makes sense because I'm just thinking about that, like you said, the element to be calm
Mm-hmm.
and just like being so strong. And I feel like you have, so to speak, control definitely of your emotions and your level of awareness in the dreams. And so I don't know, that just makes sense thinking about your astrology. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'll just leave that. All right. So yeah, that's pretty wild. Okay, Katie Baby says, I've also heard if you try to interact with people in lucid dreaming or ask certain questions, it can get creepy very fast. Have you ever experienced a situation like that before?
Me and my dream people are pretty buddy buddy, I have to say. Like and it's funny because you mentioned how most of your dream people are people that you know, where mine are like mostly people I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, and I had a dream like in the middle of the week or something where I had a mix between a few family and friends, a bunch of dream people, and then like a celebrity or two mixed in. But the dream people are so, like, I find that it's more fascinating to have so many dream people. I mean, even this one um, that interacted with me. So the way that they interact with me can be really interesting too. I mean, I had mentioned that I was walking through a hall back from a bathroom, and there are these like a pair of black Siamese twins who were probably in their like 40s, 50s, like very 1970s style. And the one that was closest to me as I was walking, because they were walking towards me, was like eyeing me up a little bit and staring at me. And he touched my jacket and just was like, this jacket is gorgeous. Like, I love this outfit on you. And like, I just looked down and felt like this gray suede jacket I had on. And I was just like, thanks. And like continued walking. But it's just like so interesting because certain dream people, when they interact, it's like just kind of there, but then other dream people, they feel more cemented in, I don't know, another universe or something, where
Like
it's
they're like, I see you, like they're almost
like
like not just
in the same dream space
like,
as me,
yeah,
but from a different place, and like we're interacting and we know that we're like both there. That's how I felt about that character. Like, I felt like they knew I was there and I knew they were there, as opposed to the other ones that were just kind of like there.
yeah. Well, it's really interesting. So the author of this book that we're listening to, he mentioned how like you want to kind of what like so when you're lucid in a dream, if you decide to engage with the people in the dream, they say that it's actually beneficial if you walk towards like where the conflict is, or say if there's someone that you feel some kind of weird way about, you want to go and engage with them or engage with that scene or what's going on there, because that will give you a lot of insight to your to people in your or to your own psyche. I'm getting distracted.
No,
But
no,
that
no, you're good. We're
yeah,
good.
insight into what might be in conflict within you. And dreams are so unique and they're all special in their own way that like sometimes it could be that direct situation, and at other times, like with dreams that Alexis shares with me, I'm like, okay, you were like somewhere like with like in an alternate lifetime or parallel lifetime, and something was going on and that person, like it's so interesting. And so for me personally, like I haven't really interacted. It's only been a few times now that I've interacted with dream people. I never really thought about it, really, to be honest. Like whenever I lucid dreamt in the past, it was always pleasure seeking, whether I'm summoning someone or going to the beach or in a fairy garden. Like it was all about, oh my, it was definitely an escape from my reality. I'm like, ooh, I'm in a dream. I'm going to do shit that I can't do like in real life. Now I'm at the point where I'm starting to really dig deep into it. So when I have the few times that I have interacted with people or at least desire to, the time recently just didn't happen. And that was a part of the deeper message of the dream. And then the time before that was with my grandmother and another lady in my dream that I presumed to be an ancestor. But then in deeper reflection, I was like, was that an aspect of myself? Because the woman like wanted to attack me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't creepy, but it was kind of scary in a way.
Hmm.
And I think just to not go super deep into it, but I think that it's really important to again be grounded when you're doing this kind of dream work. You want to like essentially be prepared. Like anything can show up, not necessarily in a bad way, but like dreams are usually symbolic, and so you might experience something that might be pretty scary. I mean, we all do from time to time in our dreams, but try your best to look at it symbolically and to just like, I don't know. I don't even know how to, what am I trying to say?
You remember you're in a dream. Remember that you are lucid dreaming, which means you're conscious that you are in a dream while you're dreaming. You can stop things from happening. You can turn off your senses. Like I said yesterday or last night, I had a dream where I was being burned alive and I could feel it, but then I snapped myself out of my body, turned off my senses, and separated. Like you are able to control that aspect, and you really don't want to go into any of this with fear.
Yeah,
I think fear can really fear can be subconscious too. I mean, you might have these nightmares because of some undealt with issues in your psyche. A lot of my dreams were much more I don't want to say dark because they're still kind of dark, but darker in fear and in what I hadn't resolved with myself. So like even if it's scary, just remember you can wake up. That's
yeah,
that's so important. It's like, yeah, it might be a scary thing, but you can just wake up, especially if you're so scared. You're so
yeah.
scared and wake up anyway.
Anyways, because like that intense emotion, like I've had it with lucid dreams and gone the opposite where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Like I'm having such a good time. This person's here. And I like it collapses and I wake up and I'm like, oh, but I was like at the climax of the dream, right? And
Yeah.
I'm or as I'm learning, it's like it's like one way or the other. You want to find that center again, and it's reflective of our waking reality, so to speak. Is like
Yeah.
you want to find that center point at some point in time.
It's like last week I talked about that dream that I had where it was so scary and threw me off that I collapsed my lucid dream very quickly. And the reality of it was I wasn't actually like what it wasn't a scary dream, but it was an aspect of myself that I needed to face, that
Hmm.
I was prepared for. And with the solar eclipse and the Mercury in retrograde, like it kind of just was like a punch in the face.
Yeah,
But I kind of resolved that in the following dreams to an extent.
yeah.
So, it is to an extent what you make it, and you are able to wake up.
Yeah. And Katie, you're asking really, really amazing questions. Thank you. All of you are commenting just we love this. This is why we're here. We want to talk about this. Um, and I think it's really important too. This is like the beauty and the benefit of dream work, whether you're lucid or not, is that when you make a conscious like intention to connect with these, like with your dreams, with your unconscious self, that in itself is empowering. That in itself is healing because you are facing like pretty much anything can come your way in the form of a dream. And while we know it's a dream, sometimes when you're in the dream space, even waking up, it's really freaking heavy and it's really intense. So to make that intention to approaching this, it definitely is. There's a level of bravery and just empowerment and healing and confidence that comes with dream work.
Absolutely.
And that was one of the reasons I think subconsciously I didn't really pay too much attention to my dreams in the regard of like intentionally going in for healing and such, is because I knew, because I meet so many people, or people that I know in my dreams, specifically like my grandmother who had passed away 20 years ago and my god sister who had passed away really young in life. They always come to me in dreams, and that was like the scariest thing. So it took me some time, and I definitely did a lot of work consciously to get to the point where I felt grounded to do this kind of work, because this is like the real shadow work, like in my opinion. I'm just, yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
experienced anything like dream work, and it's just like the benefit and the healing you get from doing this, it's like you can't really compare it to anything. It's just, it's like accelerated, enhanced healing.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And it's interesting because not a lot of people think about it like that.
Yeah.
So reflecting on the fact that, these are really, really wonderful ways you can heal yourself. That's one of the main reasons that you should embrace it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's literally like you are accessing your internal wisdom. Like how they say it's all within. Like literally the dream work is like a direct line to that, which is like incredible when you are in a space to really start that. So we have a few more comments, and then we're probably going to sign off here soon. But again, we will be live on my YouTube channel, Universe, tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So we would love to engage with you there. We're going to share our dreams and interpret those for one another. And of course, we're going to expand and continue to talk about this particular conversation and what lucid dream is essentially. And also, Alexis facilitating a lucid dreaming circle that begins May 7th. And it's for 5 weeks. We meet once a week on Zoom. We discuss a lucid dreaming topic. We share our dreams there, interpret with one another, ask questions. And it's just a really safe, like intimate container and space for us to dream, share, and do this work together. So if you're curious and interested, or even if you've been doing lucid dream work like all your life, but you want to share and support and help others, in this way, definitely join us. And you can do that via the link in my bio, or visit uraniauniverse.com. The registration is open now. Okay, so, going through all the logistics, let's see these last comments here. All right, so Adam, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. ADMTHPN. Okay, so there we go. Says I can wake myself up from sleep paralysis by doing crunches or doing sit-ups. That, I don't know why that is so funny to me. Um, because I feel that like now I have these breathing techniques, but I feel like that's my natural like reflex, because it's like I'm literally trying to like just move and like sit my body up. So I can totally relate to that, and I'm happy that that works for you. Lately I've been just, I have to completely calm myself and just do breathing, and then I'm able to just be patient and wake myself up. But sleep paralysis, from my experience and also what I've read, you can literally like astral project from that paralysis state. If you just, what I did was relax myself and just said, I want to astral project. I want to astral project. I probably said it like 3 times, maybe 4 or 5 times, and it happened. So, and then just like the lucid dream, once I realized what was happening and I got really emotional about it, I was back in my body. So it was a really interesting experience. Christopher says sleep paralysis usually occurs when you haven't had enough REM sleep. Yeah, that makes sense. Jay says, yeah, I think the most I've heard was like 11. So Jace,
The
Too
loop.
Humane Dragon, is talking about the loops, the false awakenings, which I don't even, I'm like, I don't want to hear that. Because my mind, it's like I need, one of the things that I need to do, and Jace recommended this, is like clearing your mind before you go to bed, because there's a thing called day residue where a lot of that, like what happened during the day, like what you were thinking about, what was running through your mind, will show up in your dreams. Whether that's like good or bad, who's to say? But I know sometimes I'm just like I'll watch something or see a celebrity right before I go to bed, and then they're in my dream. So,
It's
but yeah,
sometimes,
what's that?
it's inevitable sometimes.
No, right, yeah, like they just pop in. Yes, yes, yes. Um, but yeah, sometimes, yeah. So 11's a lot. Like that's pretty intense. And Jay says it's been 3 times, 1 time. Okay, yeah. Whew. All right. So let's see what we got here. Christopher says you can use lucid dreaming to help heal parts of yourself. Absolutely. Especially with nightmares. That's a big one. If you have recurring nightmares, you can change the outcome via lucid dream, and that's pretty healing. Christopher says you're accessing your internal thoughts and emotions, that where you're able to use lucid dreaming to help heal and get you through things in your life. Yes.
Absolutely.
You guys are brilliant. This is great. Um, so I'm just gonna call you Adam. I don't know if how to pronounce it, but it's the easiest way to get the body to react. Oh, nice. I'm glad that works for you. Sometimes when I move, I just get really tired and then I have to just lay there. So I'm curious if it's like different for, everyone, I'm sure. Christopher says that's why sleep paralysis is separate, because you can astral project from that point, not connect. Yeah, that's true. And we've talked about that in previous, live streams, the difference between astral travel or astral projection and lucid dreaming and all of that. And yeah, it's definitely a different experience. And yeah, it just feels like whenever the times that I've astral, where I was in the in between, I would say, or had the times that I did astral project, it's like I'm in my home. Like it's that level of awareness. And the author of this book also mentioned his experience with what would be considered astral projection or out of body
Mhm.
experience. It was very localized to like his home, like his front yard and whatnot, that was pretty wild, his experiences.
Yeah. And I've never really astral projected, but I astral travel super easy.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something, yeah, like Christopher said, for another life.
Right. Yeah.
But
And if you're curious about lucid dreaming, one thing, but you might be kind of intimidated or hesitant for whatever reason. One thing that could be helpful is doing like deep meditations, like trance meditations, where you're not sleeping, but say you're putting on music or you're listening to a guided meditation and you kind of just zone out, right? Like you're put in that trance state, and then you can move forward with your intention. What I used to do this before doing dream work, and I would always journal beforehand, like my intention or just anything, like getting stuff out of my head with whatever it was in my space at the time or whatever I intended. I would journal, and then I would go into the astral travel, and then I would come out of it and then journal, maybe what happened or feelings or whatever. So that's a good way to approach lucid dreaming in kind of a like an indirect but like similar pathway, I would
I
say.
agree.
Cool. Any last thoughts, words, anything you want to share before we end this live?
Me or the
Oh,
group?
you, anyone, actually. I
I was
was
like
giving you
just
like
waiting
a
for the
face.
comments
Like,
to come in.
you're like, yeah, speak away, everyone. Yes, speak away. Um, yeah.
I think this book is just such a wonderful a wonderful way to gain knowledge and really have your dreaming validated, because I think that's something that a lot of people have trouble with, is feeling like their experiences are validating. And this book definitely helps with that. So I highly recommend it. Again, it's Lucid Dreaming, Gateway to the Inner Self by Robert Wagner. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I pronounced it right.
Wagon. Yeah, Wagoner.
Wagner.
Okay. Christopher says, and this is interesting because I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, but Christopher says also you can't dream things into fruition. It takes you to make changes in your daily life to make things happen for you. You manifest things by your actions in reality. Yes, that is true. And I'm just gonna throw in there, like, what about the precognitive, like, dreams? What about the premonition dreams or the psychic dreams
I feel like those
where,
are separate from this because I feel like
right,
this, like if you're in your dream and you're escaping
yeah,
rather than in your day to day making the changes.
right.
I
So,
think cognitive and prophetic are like separate from that because
yeah,
the reality is too like the prophetic or precognitive it's going to happen no matter what. Whereas
yeah,
you're just kind of escaping reality and escaping into your dreams. Like you're not putting in the effort day to day to change your waking life the way that you want it.
yeah.
It's like making the conscious effort.
Well, and then also, like, we've also had a live chat about precognitive or premonition dreams. But, oh, prophetic dreams is the
We
way we
need to
titled.
have another one.
We need to have another one. You can go so deep with all of this. But I like what we mentioned in those previous lives is that, like, there might be some precognitive element to every dream. And then just to play off what Christopher's saying is that, like, just because it shows up in the dream, like, we don't know if it's like a prophetic dream until it happens, right?
Mhm.
So it could be, say, happening in the dream, but you can make a decision in your waking life that kind of changes the course of that path, right? And so that's the beauty of it all, is that we really don't know, like, no one can say for sure.
Yeah.
So it's just, I had to kind of play trickster devil here, and I know Christopher, so it's all good. But
No,
I was like,
I think it's a great point because I went down the same line of thought too, but then I went back and I was like, I really do feel like those types of dreams are a different subject than what he's trying to say because
yeah,
you really can't just dream that something's going to happen and it happen like if you want like separate
right,
from precognitive you want
right.
something to happen like you want to get a raise or you want like you have to work harder at your job to get that raise.
Well, even the dreams of people winning the lottery. So I follow someone. His whole YouTube channel is about people changing their unfortunate circumstances. A lot of it's focused on the lottery because he had a dream, and I think he was like 18 or 19. He was working at a gas. He was like putting himself through school, very depressed, stressed out, and he had a dream that, like, that he won the lottery. Like, it felt so real, and he's precognitive dreams or those kind of like really intense feeling dreams before, but he took the action to go, like, to play the lottery. It didn't happen instantaneously. It was like 3 months later. So then once I learned that, I was like thinking about the timing element, and I was like, 3 months, but what about the 3 to 7 day window? Anyways, um,
we,
so
we have
really
talked about,
no like one right way,
yeah,
but it's really interesting because, like, yeah, you have to, just because you have this like inspiring dream, it takes more than the dream to, like, really, you have to take the action,
yeah,
even if it's like,
you
I'm
can
gonna
dream
play the
about
lottery.
the lottery but if you're not buying lottery tickets you're not going to win it.
Yeah, I appreciate you both. Dreams
We
of desire.
you.
Oh, shout out to Lewis Kettle Buddha. Says,
Hello.
is a dream and achieving flying, consider controlling your dream.
I think it's controlling yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and this is like, okay, I didn't even like pose this. Who is in control of the dream, right? Right? Because we can make the request, but who, like, then how do you fly? Like, who gives you the power to
Mhm.
fly? And so I would say I feel like it's giving directives, right? So if you think about a director and a producer, how they work together, I feel whatever the dream guide is, or creator, whatever you want to call it, we're in this together. It's like a co-creative experience, right? That's literally the way I process it. I don't know if I can't say I'm right. Like, everyone has their own perspective and their own right to believe what they desire.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's different, right? It could be a spirit guide at one time. It could be your inner self. Who knows? It could be the sky god, which is what I call whoever it is I'm talking to above in my dreams, like making requests
Or
to.
your higher self, I think that that's a good aspect. Like it is yourself and your higher self, and it's connecting to it's complex.
I don't
But it is
know.
dependent. your experience and who
Yeah.
you are and what you're existing in, because
Yeah.
everybody has their own idea of what's happening.
Yeah. Jay says yes to a degree, so I'm assuming that's in response to Kettle Buddha. He says, but it also has a possibility to cause the dream to disperse, depending on the physics of the dream. I love the dream
We could go
world.
on forever.
I like really
It's
don't want.
literally, we could go on forever, especially like us who have dreams very often. Like I have lucid dreams almost every single night, so it's just continuous information. It
Yeah,
never ends
yeah,
until
it really never ends, and yeah, I mean, Lucid becomes Lucid becomes the control, though. Do you mean like, yeah, like it's like I feel like you're granted when it's the same reflection of in your waking life where it's like I have the conscious awareness, like I'm in a better position with a higher level of consciousness, being more aware in my waking life, and it's the same as in your dream space, right? It's like, you have more power, so to speak, even if it is just like being an observer in the dream and going along with the dream to see what message is coming forth and taking your time to discern, like, oh, am I going to talk to this person, or the dream's guiding me this way? Am I going to walk, or am I just going to like end the dream?
the ability to decide and
Yeah.
control your actions. And I think that it really, I think just the ability to be aware of your that you're in a dream, like even like, I think it was like it's the same dream I was talking about earlier, where at one point I was in an open vehicle where the top was non-existent, and I was completely aware that I was dreaming in my dream, and putting my head back and feeling the wind on me and the sun. And that's controlling my senses. I'm allowing myself to feel the warmth on my skin. I'm allowing myself to smell the cut grass and to feel the wind. That those are all aspects of yourself, of your experience, that you're able to control.
And that's the beauty of it. Like what we said in the beginning of the live, while we may quote unquote not have complete control over the dream, lucid or not, when we're lucid, we do have, essentially control of ourselves, our actions, our decisions, right? And then the dream will respond, and maybe people in the dream respond. So Kettle Buddha's asking, can we define what a dream is? And my head just exploded reading that. I was like,
Yeah. And then I'll comment on Jace.
what's that?
I said
Oh,
you can talk about that, and then I'll talk about what Jace said.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I that's literally my response. I mean, what is a dream? Like, you guys tell me. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a dream
Yeah.
right now.
Mystery.
Yeah, it literally. I know Kettle Buddha, so yeah, that's a fitting question. He's like stirring the pot here.
Yeah. Oh no.
Bring fire, bring the energy to the conversation. I love that. Like, yeah, I don't know. All right.
In regards to the conscious dreaming, it is a subset, but that is not what I do. I do change the dream, and I'm aware that I'm dreaming. I'm not just sitting and observing.
Right.
And I understand how that can be confusing. I used a lot of my control when I was younger as a means to escape. And now I use my control to understand the messages that are naturally given to me. But I do have full control of myself, and I make decisions for myself, and I do things on purpose. It is absolutely a lucid dream. Even though I'm not, creating, or I'm not purposely flying around, or I'm not purposely like doing extreme things. I've done a lot of that in the past, and I've just reached a point now where I use it for a very specific method. And everybody has their own way of doing it. This works for me. But I understand how it can be confused with conscious dreaming.
Yeah. And that was one of the things the author presented in the book too, was like once you like initially, I feel when people do start lucid dreaming, they do approach it in a pleasure seeking a pleasure seeking experience. At least that's what I experienced. That's what I always hear people talking about. People talk about lucid dreams. They're like, I'm flying, I'm like, summoning or whatever, changing the scene, making it rain, whatever. I don't often, it wasn't until I like very deeply intentionally got into the dream work is when I came across like people doing it for like healing and talking to people and making decisions, and but also going along with the dream and not changing much because like you said, essentially every dream has some sort of a purpose
Mhm.
so you're more interested in that and observing that too and experiencing what's in front of you than like just rolling down the hill into a fairy forest, which was my experience, and that was
And it's such a valid experience to do that. And like I said, I do meditations where
yeah,
that deep trance, that's kind of where I play that out
yeah,
because I'm not seeking a message. I allow myself to play a little more when I'm not in a lucid dream with the intention of figuring out the mysteries of my unconscious.
yeah,
It's a, a a different experience for me, and I really encourage people to do the latter of just being in, or the former of being in a playful state and exploring, but I
yeah,
encourage to lean into seeing why you're getting the messages, talking to the dream people and asking questions with intention, going deeper into your dreams with
yeah,
purpose, playing around with your environment and your senses that can coexist with what the messages are bringing in. But yeah,
yeah. Oh, you said that so well, so beautiful.
thank
Like that was great. Um, so yeah, play with both. Like it's all about the balance, Bill. But I feel like once you do a lot of pleasure seeking, especially if you're like me, where you just get so swept up in it, the dream won't last long. Like when I had that full on like intentional dream, the one I had last
you.
week, and all the things, that was a long freaking dream. It was long. Like if you see the write up, it was long, and it
Yeah.
could have kept going. But I was like, okay, like this is boring. I don't want to like do this
I
right now.
I feel this. I completely understand that aspect of it. I think that's my biggest downfall is I don't allow myself to write down every single thing
Yeah,
because it really is so infinite, and it's, oh god,
we can go.
a lot of work.
It
I'm
is
lazy.
right. I mean, yeah. This is the fact that I'm writing my dreams is the whole thing. Okay, so last final comments here. Adam says, yes, the awareness, it's like a second act of life. Don't we all play it confidently that our own reality? Don't we play it confidently, maybe in our own reality? But yeah, no, it's like different realities, different experiences, for sure. And Christopher says a dream is a projection of your unconscious mind. Boom. Thank you, Christopher, because I couldn't,
That's, yeah.
I can't put it into words, but that's a good definition. It's all a projection. And even again, our waking life is a projection of our conscious mind, of our consciousness. So what we believe, we perceive. But in the dream, that also was kind of broken down because he had certain expectations, like with talking to someone or just certain expectations of the dream. And the dream did not meet that expectation. So that's something to contemplate too, like which can happen in the waking life as well. All right. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for your wise words, your questions. Alexis, it's always amazing. I just am so inspired by your dreams. Ooh, man.
It's always a pleasure talking to you. You're an amazing man.
Yes.
Everyone involved, please, please, please come and check out our live tomorrow on YouTube. And if you are seeking assistance and guidance with dream work, sign up for the Dream Circle in May. It's gonna be so wonderful and so healing.
Yay, awesome. And we're gonna be sharing our dreams
Tomorrow.
on the live stream tomorrow. So you'll get to hear our interpretations and all of that. So you can find that on my YouTube, or you can be with us live on my YouTube, Urania Universe, and links in the bio here on my Instagram. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, Alexis. Sweet dreams, everybody. Have a good night.